people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. It was announced earlier today that 3-division, 2-time minimum weight champion Yokasta Valle has been picked up by MVP. And this is what I expected to happen a little over a week ago when I heard that Yokasta Valle had separated from Golden Boy Promotions, going over to MVP alongside her younger sister, Naomi Valle, who got picked up by MVP a few weeks ago. See, the natural thing to do, sporting a professional record of 33 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 10 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 36 professional bouts, having been a champion at 3 weights and a 2-time minimum weight champion, currently holding the WBC title. Yokasta is in the right place. She fought about 3 times last year. She was busy, and she's already fought once this one back in March when she moved up in weight to take on Marlen Esparza, winning a split decision. Bit of a pointless fight, moving up in weight fighting Marlen for no title at all. I didn't understand that fight. And then I heard a rumor that what Golden Boy wanted was to put Yokasta in the ring with Gabby Fundora, which I thought was ridiculous. Then it all made sense why they had her fight Marlen. They wanted her to fight a common opponent between her and Gabby as a prelude to a fight between them. And I guess that Yokasta wasn't on board for that because shortly afterwards, news broke that she left Golden Boy. Put distance between herself and Golden Boy, distance between herself and that points decision loss to Senicia Estrada in March of last year. She's currently on a 3-fight winning streak. So in between the time that she left Golden Boy Promotions over a month ago and now, there was a report in between that she would be returning to action in her native Costa Rica to make a defense of her WBC title against Rocio Gaspar. But that fight with Rocio does not appear on BoxRec, and because she just signed to MVP, I get the impression they're not going to do that now, that the next time we see Yokasta, it'll be on an MVP show. Maybe against Rocio, or maybe against her mandatory challenger of Japan, Umi Ishikawa, the WBC's interim champion, as of May of last year. They could always use Yokasta's MVP debut to get that mandatory out of the way and start her on the path to undisputed. This is a more sensible and sensical signing to me than some of the other signings I've seen MVP make. Because I didn't really understand why they signed Shannon Courtenay. Signed Ebony Bridges too, and I do like Ebony Bridges, but she's getting on in age and she's been out a while. This signing makes a bit more sense to me because Yokasta Valle, all by herself, is already the best in show in the minimum weight division. And all she needs is the financial backing to get these other champions in the ring, of which there are 3. There is Japan's own Yuko Kuroki, holding the WBA, Argentina's own Sol Kudos, holding the IBF, and Germany's own Sarah Borman, holding the WBO. Sarah has a fight coming up. See how she makes out. Of all the champions at this weight, Yokasta Valle is the most experienced, the most accomplished. She is the best in show already. So this is not a fighter that MVP has to develop or groom. A lot of the work is already done. This is not a fighter that's coming off a loss or inactivity. They're not on the bounce. Yokasta's already on a 3-fight winning streak. All they really have to do is schedule the fights, get the opponents, and Yokasta will take care of the rest. And she's got a fan-friendly style. She's an action fighter. Makes for good entertainment. It's only natural that they pick up the Valle sisters, the Fighting Valle sisters, as a package. They started off with Naomi, now they've got Yokasta. They've got them both. It's only right. Now all that's left to do is schedule Yokasta's MVP debut that could take place in either the fall or winter months. She's already fought once this year, so there's still enough time to squeeze in one more fight. Men's featherweight news this weekend on the undercard of White versus Atalma. Sam Goodman will be taking on Nick Ball. Disappointment, shock, and sadness. Sam Goodman is moving on, or trying to, Sam Goodman's promoters revealed the extent of the sacrifices that went to waste when the Australian missed out on fighting the great Naoya Inoue at 122. Goodman on Saturday challenges England's Nick Ball for the WBA featherweight title at 126, and does so 7 months after a cut denied him a date with Inoue for the second time. He was to travel to Tokyo to fight the Japanese icon and undisputed super bantamweight champion in his home country in first December and then January. But after a cut to the head forced the postponement from the first date to the second, a recurrence of the same injury meant he was replaced by the little-known South Korean Yi Jun Kim. Inoue moving on from plans to fight him, and him instead traveling even further to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to fight Nick Ball, when it is little secret that Ball has hopes of fighting Inoue next. Victory for the 26-year-old does, therefore, perhaps represent Goodman's greatest hopes of reviving the contest that remains the highest profile and the most lucrative he is likely to encounter. The improving Ball, 28, is a promising yet considerably less proven champion, less proven than Inoue, and it is for that reason that No Limit's George Rose has faith that his fighter will win regardless of him moving up in weight. Mate, it was so many different emotions, he told Boxing Scene of January's cancellation. It was the shock, it was the disappointment, and then the disappointment for Sam, knowing what was missed. That's a fight that nobody at the weight dreams of getting, that opportunity to take that fight, to fight a legend. He's a once-in-a-generation fighter. To share the ring with him is a huge moment for any fighter, and Sam had the chance to fight him and beat him for an undisputed crown. There's many things that were out there that could have changed Sam Goodman's life, and he missed out. We missed out on that opportunity, and so it was a real roller coaster of emotions. We managed to save it and get a rescheduled date, and then it happened again. It was the same thing again. It was the shock. This can't be real. It actually happened. Just disappointment and sadness for everyone involved. It actually felt like losing. The fight hadn't even happened, but it felt like taking a loss. All of the work. I remember the whole thing. I talked about it here on the channel. And it's either Sam Goodman has really bad luck, or Sam didn't really want that fight and they used that cut as an excuse to get out of it. Really cynical guy, and I don't put nothing past nobody. A fighter faking an injury to get out of a fight is not outside the realm of possibility, and you ask yourself why? Why would Sam fake an injury to get out of an Inoue fight? We'll get to that. Nick Ball, the defending champion back in March over 10 rounds, stopped TJ Doheny, incidentally among Inoue's former opponents, and one who was stopped in 7 by Inoue the previous September. Very difficult fight, Rose continued. Sam's very much the underdog stepping into this with all the odds stacked against him. He's coming up in weight, he's fighting a world champion, he's fighting away from home in a very different time zone. I don't think I could think of any other odds that are stacked against him taking this fight, but Sam is a pure boxer. Sam Goodman's a guy who works hard. He's worked hard his whole life to get to the point where he is now. This is a chance for him to shock the world and show everyone what he's made of. It's a chance to make some money, too. You know, super bantamweights and featherweights, on average, they don't make very much, but boxing on one of Turkey's shows against Nick Ball, I'm sure they're paying him well to do it. The opportunity for Naoya Inoue was one that he would have loved. He was going into that fight to win. A lot of guys take that fight for the great pay that they get at that weight, but Sam Goodman wanted that fight to win that fight, and he believed that he was going to win it. He didn't get the chance to show the world what he can do. This is his chance, with all the odds stacked against him, stepping in against Nick Ball for a chance to tell the world who Sam Goodman is and become a world champion. Undisputed is the pinnacle. That's what they all want to get to. You can't replace that, but a chance at a world title that he can win. He's less of an underdog against Nick, but being an underdog has never deterred Sam Goodman. Most Aussie fighters, when you're stepping onto the world stage, you're seen as the underdog because you come from a small country down the bottom of the globe. Who's stepping in to take on these champions who come from big countries who fought great opposition to get to where they're at? They're always going to be an underdog. That doesn't deter Sam at all. He loves that underdog tag. It doesn't change the way that he approaches that fight. A fight against Nick Ball is definitely a much more winnable fight. I believe he'll win anyway. I've got every faith in Sam, going out there and showing the world and really upsetting the division by taking that title away from Nick Ball. The way that George talks about Sam and talks about all of this and missing out on that Inoue fight, how could you think that he faked an injury?
I'm cynical, and I don't put nothing past nobody. See, by the time that Inoue versus Sam Goodman becomes a conversation, Inoue is already undisputed champion. He already has all the belts. So if you're Sam, and hypothetically speaking, you don't really want that fight, you don't want to face certain defeat and certain injury boxing this guy, maybe you wait him out. Wait for him to move up to featherweight, because that was the talk at the time, that Inoue might go to featherweight.
He didn't.
Just see what I mean? That if you're Sam, maybe you don't want this fight that bad, and this guy's not going to stick around much longer because he already has all the belts. You wait him out so that he vacates those titles, and when he does, you can pick one of them up.
I figured that as many times as that fight got postponed, it's either Sam Goodman has really bad luck or he's faking an injury to get out of this fight.
Neither would surprise me.
But it's all water under the bridge and change under the couch cushions now. It's a thing of the past. Sam has moved on and moved up to featherweight, or he is about to face Nick Ball, what I consider a less than ideal opponent for a fighter that's moving up in weight, because Nick is not a thinking man's fighter. There are not a lot of quiet moments in a Nick Ball fight. From the moment the opening bell sounds, this guy's all over you. He wants to fight for all 3 minutes of the round, every round. And you're new to this weight.
He's physical. He's aggressive. He wants to throw you around. Don't forget, Nick Ball is a dirty boxer.
And the fact of the matter is, Nick Ball, while he's not Naoya Inoue, he has already been in there with some of the very best featherweights in the division. I was a little bit surprised when this fight got announced that Nick Ball would be defending his title voluntarily against Sam Goodman, as opposed to a unification match, as opposed to a fight with one of the other champions at the weight, say, Angelo Leo.
Rafa Espinoza.
I was a bit surprised when I heard they'd be doing Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman, but I'm not against it. I relish any opportunity to watch Nick brutalize a guy, because that's what he does. He's a pressure guy through and through. There are not many subtleties to Nick Ball, and Sam Goodman, he's about to find that out the hard way. I think Nick is going to stop him. I think Nick is going to knock him out.
Better, bigger, and more seasoned fighters than Sam Goodman, more experienced fighters than Sam, have struggled to keep Nick off of them.
Nothing against Sam, but I don't think he has the chops for this assignment. I think Nick Ball is going to beat him. I think Nick Ball is going to stay WBA champion. Over to the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford undercard, where unbeaten Christian Mbilli will defend his title, his interim title, against unbeaten Lester Martinez. Christian Mbilli will defend his WBC interim super middleweight title against Lester Martinez on September 13th on the undercard of Canelo versus Crawford, effectively putting his world title opportunity at stake, because if you lose to Lester, you lose your spot. I'm honored that His Excellency Turki El Sheikh specifically thought of me for the card of Canelo versus Crawford, said Mbilli. I plan to seize this opportunity to show him that I'm the rightful challenger for the winner of their bout, and I intend to do it by staying true to my style, to myself, and by putting on a spectacular fight. This victory will elevate my status globally, my greatness, and most importantly, show the world who Christian Mbilli is. He's right, because this is not hidden behind a paywall, unless you want to consider a Netflix subscription a paywall. I wouldn't, because most people have Netflix.
The shit comes with the TV.
Mbilli, 29-0 with 24 KOs from Quebec, Canada, boasts victories over Ecuador's Carlos Gongora, Australia's Rohan Murdoch, and Ukraine's Sergei Didivianchenko. In June, he knocked out Poland's Maciej Suliecki inside of a round to capture his current belt, which he will defend for the first time against Martinez next month. Many consider Lester Martinez to be the most dangerous rising prospect climbing the world ranks right now, said Mark Ramsey, Mbilli's coach. But Christian doesn't say no to anyone. Not to Canelo, not to Martinez, not to anybody.
Yeah, well, he may live to regret that. I've seen Lester, and he's good. Paulie Malignaggi thinks he's going to win the fight.
Lester, if we go by what the goods that we've sort of been building up on him. I'd be shocked if he's not the goods at this point. You know what I mean? And in Mbilli, we've seen him in tough fights, but we've seen him in tough fights doing what? Make adjustments and be versatile? No, we've seen him in tough fights tough it out. You know? Are you gonna be? Are you gonna be able to tough it out when this guy's dropping atomic bombs on you round after round? I mean, the only thing you know how to do is go forward. You know, and once you get hit a few times, you got to still go forward because you don't know how to fight any other way. You're one-dimensional. So it's fun, but it's going to be might only be fun while it lasts. If he doesn't back Lester up, and again, we got to find out if Lester is the kind of guy who can mentally hold under that pressure. But if he is not able to back Lester up, there is no plan B for Mbilli. He's pretty one-dimensional. Like I said, there's a reason these guys get talked about in the Canelo sweepstakes.
Yeah, Christian's a pressure fighter, for better or worse. Everything Paulie said is true. Pressure guy knows how to fight one way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Whereas Lester the molester.
What?
Lester Martinez, 19-0 with 16 KOs, began his professional career back in 2019 when he stopped Nicaraguan brawler Ricardo Mayorga in the second round. More recently, in 2024 and 2025, the Guatemalan has dominated Carlos Gongora over 10 rounds, a common opponent between him and Christian Mbilli, and stopped previously undefeated American prospect Joshawn James in 4. What I've seen of Lester Martinez, there are more wrinkles to his game, more subtleties. He bends at the waist, bends at the knees, moves that torso, angles off, shoots counters, and he can punch.
Got power.
I mean, based on what I've seen so far, he can play the aggressor and the defender equally well, whereas Christian is a lot more simple. He's usually the aggressor. He has to be. He's the pressure guy.
Pressure guys always stay in character. For better or worse, pressure fighters don't change much from one fight to the next. All that really changes is who they're fighting.
It's not by accident that Christian Mbilli finds himself on the undercard of a Canelo Alvarez fight. He should consider this an audition. Boxing on this card and doing well means a lot more than just having a WBC interim title, because if push comes to shove, the WBC would never strip Canelo of a belt to give it to a Mbilli or a Martinez.
No way.
But if Christian makes a splash, he goes out there, he fights his ass off, he wins, that actually does more towards getting that Canelo fight than just having an interim title.
What about Lester the molester? What if he wins?
You know what, I don't really see that? If Lester Martinez wins the fight, I'm not sure that Canelo gives him the time of day. I mean, right now, Hamza Shiraz has more of a profile than Lester.
So you're saying that if Christian wins, he stands a chance of getting the fight. But if Lester wins, he still might not get it.
That's what I'm saying. Stylistically, guys like Christian Mbilli, formidable as they are made to order for Canelo Alvarez. You want to stand in front of him, swinging for the fences, he's going to counter you all night. Those are the kind of guys that Canelo looks good against. It's the movers and the boxers, that peskier style that gives him problems, but not pressure guys. So let's say Canelo beats Terrence and Christian beats Lester. I could see a fight happening between those two. I could see that.
But if Lester beats Christian, then I'm not so sure.
Lester the molester is a force to be reckoned with.